Have you ever designed a logo? Logos are unique, magical things that represent a business to other people, and having one is sort of important. You basically need a logo because if you don't, you look suspicious. It's like you're not even trying. And it needs to be kind of awesome. You need it printed on your website and on your business cards and on your stationery if you have stationery, and it needs to clearly and succinctly kind of show what it is you do. There's plenty of ways for you to buy your way out of needing a logo. There's 99 Designs, there's whatever this site is. I mean, there's just a ton of different ways for you to buy yourself out of the I need a logo problem. So I have my own creative process that I use when I'm working on projects, but this is a different one. And so I want to see about taking in some other ideas before I really get started. So what I'd like to do is take a survey of kind of some online courses that are out there and get a sense of how people attack this problem of logo design. So let's do it. Let's make a logo. So right away, I'm only like 10 or so minutes into the first course here, and what I'm trying to do is weird. Making your own logo is weird. Already the assumption is that I'm designing a logo for a client, not designing a logo for myself. So that's interesting to me, but I'm sure it's just I'm starting in the wrong place. I'm about an hour into the first course here, this logo design course called Learning Logo Design with Von Glitschke, and now I realize I really need a process, and this sounds obvious, but I think I didn't understand like what a good process would be for logo design, and it turns out it's very similar to any creative process, but the suggestion here is to start with a creative brief that I would write about what it is that I want the logo to be doing and what my company is and isn't doing, and also to look at myself from my audience's point of view and kind of what it is they're looking for. And then from there, building a mood board with some visual ideas that I would like to play with, and then going into a research stage. I'm actually not going to commit to anything yet. I'm literally going to watch more videos, but this feels like I'm moving in the right direction. This Von Glitschke video is freaking awesome. It's just showing you the whole nightmare of making logos, and he goes through all these different iterations of a design and just a client being unhappy with every step because a logo is so important to people, and it's an aspect of graphic design where everybody wants to handle the art direction. Probably that's also why I want to do it myself, because I want to have so much ownership of it. Jeez, I mean, this is just nuts. I really like what Von Glitschke is saying about a logo really elevating what a company's doing and also helping to direct it. So I actually think that a logo will be really helpful in saying a little bit about the brand narrative for my own company and kind of where I'm headed. So I think that's super cool and helpful. So I'm going to start with this creative brief and ask myself a bunch of questions, and we'll see how it goes. I will just include this as a document if you're interested, but I'm just going to kind of like walk through this thing with myself. Here's the creative brief that Von Glitschke uses in his course to give you an idea of like what kind of questions you should be asking. So who are you? What's your business and product or service? The objectives, results and vision. How would you like your business to be perceived? Target market, competition, voice, color preferences, gauging perception. Where would you like to be in 10 years? Keywords, additional input. This is awesome. I'm going to go through this and do it for myself as if I'm the client, but I'm also the designer, so it's going to be fun to figure this out. But yeah, I'm going to go through this. There's something magical about looking at someone else's creative process, because you're like, oh, these are things I need. Because like I do a client interview and then I ask the client for information. I never just send the client something to fill out. I kind of like this format. I wonder if this would be a roadblock for clients. So I think it's a little long. I think he asked a few too many questions in this, but I'm happy to go through this process and learn a new process. I realize I'm anxious about making a logo. I'm like really spending the time to go through every step here because it has some imposter syndrome around doing the task. Like I want to make sure I'm doing it right. And I think that everybody must feel that about logo design because there's a little bit of mystique around it. It is like you're creating a kind of magical symbol that's going to represent you to other people. And I have a lot of fear about that. Like, what's my symbol?
Hi, I'm Nigel French. Welcome to this short course on developing a mood board.
Here's what I got so far. Found this little guy who's looking through a telescope, which I enjoy because it's both has a figure in it, which I think is important, something with an eye that's kind of similar to this PBS one, but it's also like looking towards the future. I really like the simplicity of these P's. Of course, I have a P in my name, so And then the color-wise, I'd like to use these 4 colors here. And of course, if I mouse over, they disappear. But I want to do these 4 colors, which I really like. I also like kind of the bigness of these letters here, these letter shapes. And then I like this kind of lines here too on this kind of Don Quixote style logo for, I think, a furniture store. And then Nickelodeon, I just like the expressiveness of that. So I want a little bit of this. I think what I'd like to get at is a little bit of creativity, but obviously a little muted creativity, colorfulness, and then some simple lines. I don't know if I'm gonna go full Nickelodeon on this, but I want a little bit of that kind of splat style to it. Maybe there's a splat behind it. What I want to do now before I get into drawing and stuff, I'm actually going to go for a jog, and I'm going to take pictures with my camera if I see anything that inspires me. So I'll just do like down the street in Portland and see what kind of colors jump out. So I just got back. I'm a little wet and sweaty here, but these are the pictures I took, and these are like different images that were interesting to me in some way. So you know, I really love the creativity in this image and the illustrated characters. So like, even if I don't incorporate, I think, characters into the look of the logo, I really want to incorporate some characters into my site and into my world. Man, there's something about characters I really enjoy, because I took like a picture of this one and I really love this kind of simple, focused character. Man, the pink, this dark pink and the green, I think would be really nice, and the blue. These colors also, this blue, the white, and the red. These aren't my colors, but I like how strong the contrasts are. I think that's what I'm really drawn to. Man, really drawn to characters again. Really like the playfulness of this. Lavender, red, and brown. The high contrast here, really enjoy that. I just like the way this made me feel. This is just on a door someplace. I just gotta remember to do stuff like this to just add delight. I thought this was a little vaginal for like an eyeglass place, but anyway. And then I really love the colors of my shoes. Okay, so now my mood board is kind of done here, so I'm going to get into just doing some sketches of some graphic ideas. So I'm going to play around. As Vonster said in the Lynda tutorial, this could get weird. I'm going to do the things that make sense to me, and it could get strange. That's all. Okay, so I did some logo sketching based on my mood board for a bit, and I feel like I kind of ignored a lot of my own ideas. So here's where I am, I don't know what this line's about, with some logo stuff. I probably drew too much. You can see I started with like a PBS thing, kind of morphed into a monster of some kind. I was doing a lot with cats, because I feel like cats are kind of like creative, interesting characters. This arrow thing is weird. I guess that's a telescope with the pulley attached, like it's that's the cost of the telescope. This is like a weird monster character with a pencil for a nose. I like these smiling characters. This is something. I guess I just enjoy drawing sometimes. I really like these. This is interesting with like a monocle P. So I'd like to see what some of these look like in color. I'd like to take, I think this is kind of neat. This is super weird. Oh, I don't know. Whatever it is, I want it to make a little bit more professional. You know, to be honest, I'm a little confused here about what it is I'm even doing anymore. Wow, so a couple crazy things. First, the Adobe Creative Cloud apps are pretty great. So I was playing around with this in bed last night, and that's unfortunate because that means I'm like not documenting my in-bed process very well, so maybe I need to put a little camera by my bed. But I was thinking through the problem of like how to get the letter marks together to have my P and my C, Holy Creative, in the same kind of letter mark, which wasn't my initial plan, but like as you kind of like hammer away at it, you're like, oh, this is kind of what needs to happen. And so I was imagining, and this is what I imagined here, is like a P shape, and then like I cut out something here, and I just use my finger, that's what this is, to cut out the C part. But what's crazy is I literally used the Adobe Draw app, clicked send to Illustrator, and then it popped up immediately in my version of Cloud, and like, gotta say, that's a pretty magical experience, and that makes me want to use this app all the time now. So In any event, so here's where I want to kind of go, and I want to like use one of the cutting tools here to like just slice these so that these are super even. And then I think I just want to play around with the colors. I do not like the way that looks. That looks super weird to me. I really need to play around more with the colors, and I think I want to get rid of the little C within the C. So here's an important moment here. I'm going to actually send this image, send my logo where I'm at right now to my wife and see what she thinks. This is actually literally the most important moment in this logo design. So, all right, so she says, ooh, that's good. What if the vertical bar was a little bit narrower? So here we are. I have what I think is a final logo. It's not, by the way, but I have some good feedback from people on Instagram. I posted it, see what people would think. And it seems like the general opinion is to round the hard edges on the C, and I will totally do that. That's a great suggestion. I got that suggestion from people, not even on Instagram, just people in regular life. So that's a great suggestion. So I will definitely do that before I commit to a business card. I've already put it on my website because I love it. Logo design is obviously a full-time job for someone as a graphic designer. There's a bajillion different techniques and ideas you could use. Ultimately, what I have here is very simple, but thinking simply is so challenging to just be considering to yourself, okay, that's the right amount of squiggles and done. To me, this logo is literally an inspiration that I got while not even focused on sketching, but like at another time and place. So like creatively what I come away with is like, oh, you do a bunch of work and then inspiration may strike as you're looking through stuff. So like, that's not a very good creative process because it's not repeatable or predictable, right? It's like, oh, do these things and then something will happen. But definitely like leaving time for the thing to kind of sit in your mind, which was a suggestion that Vonster had in the Lynda course, made a lot of sense. Like, yes, letting it sit for a minute was totally helpful. As it is, I got solicited for new freelance work while I was doing this, and it had nothing to do with the logo. Is the logo important? I mean, I think, yes, it must be. So some unique choices that I made that may not be right for you is I chose to do this myself. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if this is the finished product. In fact, I'm certain this is not the finished product I would choose if someone else made this for me. I think I would be, more exhaustive and investigative. But in making it myself, I arrived at this idea and I was like, this is great. But I think if I was evaluating all the options, this would be very hard to decide on. And I would ask to see more. But when you're creating it yourself, you're like, gosh, that's actually pretty good. So two things I noticed about training as relates to logo design was one, there's a ton of it. There is just so much information out there about how to design a logo, how to think about it, different creative processes. It's like you're gonna take a little bit of training, go deep, and then there's this chasm of graphic design and typography and brand management and brand design, and you can go all the way down to that abyss. But like logo design is just like, you're kind of peering over the edge like, I'm gonna make a logo, and it's just like a deep hole of brand design, packaging, management, etc. So it's interesting, like as an iceberg problem where you see the logo, you're like, oh, I need a great logo. And then like, as you investigate the logo, you realize how many other insane things you have wrong. It's kind of like when you're cleaning the house, like you clean the house before people show up at your place, you're having a party, whatever. And then like you finish the basic cleaning, and as you're doing it, you're like, oh man, dusting over here. And all these issues that emerge, but you can only see them when you have a logo. When you have done the basic cleaning, you can then look into all these other problems. So a logo feels like that. It's such a basic problem, you solve it, and you're like, shit, the whole thing is broken. Anyway, I had a great time doing this. I really enjoyed messing around with Adobe's tools, and I loved the way my brain kind of turned on to look for logos and information for this entire week while I was thinking about it. So it's pretty rad. My name is Michael. I make videos like this every week. If you like videos like this, please subscribe and let me know in the comments what you think about my logo if you don't like it, or if you have ideas of things I could do to improve it, or you have suggestions for ways to approach logo design that are different. I would love to know. I would love to know how to do this again and differently, because I'm certain that I will do this again, probably for this channel, as I delve into creating unique shows and maybe getting more specific about the types of content I'm creating. I definitely am like thinking about how to animate different kind of titles and effects and stuff. So I would love to hear any ideas people have about developing logos and shows and stuff.
Anyway, thanks so much. I'll see you next week.